Yesterday, it all looked good. We made a bid for Duran. We'd had a deal agreed with Bayern Munich for Mazraoui. And although Villa went on to reject that bid for Duran, I always felt, well, at least we've got the right back situation sorted. This will get done in the next couple of days. It is off. Mazraoui to West Ham is off, and it's been broken by Plettenberg. The person that broke that it was on has broke that it's off. But he did say there was still a bit of work to be done, and some finances need to be worked out. I'll tell you exactly what he said. He says Mazraoui deal with West Ham is off. No agreement on agent's side has been reached. Despite the agreement between the clubs and players' side, West Ham now have left the negotiations. And he goes on to say, Man United now pushing to sign Mazraoui, advanced talks.
Yeah, I'm annoyed, actually. It has to be said. I'm annoyed. Now, let me get this right. Not about the player himself. I cannot pretend, by the way, that I knew too much. You mentioned him 2 or 3 days ago, and it had me scrambling around trying to find out who he was. So I'm not going to pretend that I've wanted this guy for ages. But I do want a right back. And it was a case of anyone will do, not anyone, but whatever. Wan-Bissaka or Carl Walker, it's fine. Can we just get someone in? I think it's important, an important position. So when we signed this guy, I had a look at him and thought, oh, that's good. He's versatile. We discussed him in our Patreon breakfast video this morning. Quite happy with it. We've got an ongoing problem here. And the problem is agents, or should I say our inability to deal with agents. It's a handicap. West Ham are handicapped. I've seen enough of it now with enough different players that it's the same problem crops up time and time again. I think every football fan would agree that probably agents are too involved, that agents wield too much power, that they earn too much money. And I think everybody would agree that, for instance, the Jonathan David deal, if the agent was asking for 10 million, most West Ham fans would say, do you know what? Absolutely. Walk away. I don't think it's that. I don't think their agent is. I think there's a load of agents are just sort of charging what agents charge. And we've not adjusted to it yet. And we're just not willing to pay it. But all the other clubs are. That leaves us in a handicapped situation. And I think, look, we've all had to work in industries before where maybe there's a department or that you don't particularly have to agree. But in the construction industry, there's when health and safety came in, stupid stuff you'd rather not have to do. Somebody there doing a job that's probably not needed, earning too much money. It's just work. It's not even football. It's work. You have to deal with the landscape that you're in, and you have to be able to work around those parameters. And for some unknown reason, West Ham just seem to be unable to negotiate with most agents, unless they're sort of favoured agents. And this is now becoming a problem because what we're doing is, whereas everyone else can almost pick any of the players, it seems like we can only pick certain players if they're represented by certain people, basically. And that's how it's starting to seem at the moment. It's the same thing. It's the agents. As I say, we all agree agents are bloody pain in the arse, but you've got to deal with them, and you've got to make a deal with them. And you've got to pay them. And we agree to stuff with a player. We agree to stuff with Bayern Munich. How many times have we heard this happening? Oh, the agent, can't deal with the agent. And so you have to believe, I don't know this Plettenberg, wouldn't know him, honestly, I could walk past him in the street and I wouldn't know who he was. But he's led this story and he's led other stuff and he's all over West Ham stuff, I suspect, because it's Tim Steidten. I believe this.
It's not just West Ham. Plettenberg has a contact at West Ham, but also is very clued up in fingers and pies in German football club as well. So when West Ham go after a player based in the Bundesliga, he's going to be all over it, and he's going to have more than one source, and he's possibly and probably going to have a source from 2 different sides here. He's going to have the West Ham angle and the angle of Bayern Munich, and possibly even the angle of the player, actually. So sometimes you get one side reporting. I think Plettenberg will have multiple sides on this particular transfer. I'm a bit sort of, it's the deal in the player. What do you want me to discuss first? Would you like me to discuss the deal of the player? Because I can split the two quite easily here, and I've got a different opinion on both, if that makes sense. What one would you like?
Do the player, because you'll be less annoyed about it, I think.
Yeah, because of his injury record. I think he's a good player, and I think when he's fit, he's potentially a great player. He's a good age, good right back, good left back. The transfer fee isn't the end of the world, 12.5 million, 13 million, something like that. But I think he's only that cheap because of his injury record. I think we're only getting him because of his injury record as well. will go off to African Cup of Nations as well at some point, which can be a bit of a hindrance. So I'm not gutted we haven't got this player per se, but I am gutted about just the right back situation. It felt like we were getting that resolved, and my frustration is, and there was a story that was just don't feel like it was covered at all last night. I mentioned it to you this morning about the loyalty payment, and it wasn't really something that's cropped up. And the report was last night, after back of Plettenberg's original exclusive, which was there's still some financial details need to be sorted here. Now he's now claiming it's the agent. However, where does loyalty payment fit in terms of, is it the player in the club? Is it the club and club? Is it the club and the agent? Who covers that part? And the problem last night was that Bayern Munich owe Mazraoui 3 million in loyalty payments, and they obviously don't want to pay him because they're only getting 12.5 million. They don't want to give 3 million of it to the player. The player's entitled to that money. He's quite right to ask for it. He's not transfer listed. He hasn't asked to leave. Bayern Munich have just accepted a bid for him. But obviously, there'd be a reluctance on West Ham's part. Say, well, that's a lot of money here because that 13 million pound transfer plus 3 million plus his agent fee. Suddenly, you're spending 20 million on the right back. Is no longer a bit of a bargain. And if that 3 million loyalty bonus is true, I can understand why it would be an issue in it. My frustration is that we get this far down the line, the agent's fee, and let's assume it was the agent's fee that's the issue. Surely we know that like as soon as the first person you negotiate with is the agent, it's not the club. You don't go to Bayern Munich and say, hey, can we make a bit? You go through the agent and say, is your player available? Does he want to come to West Ham? Before I even bother wasting my time and Bayern Munich's time, what's the likelihood of this? Oh, yeah, he's interested. Right, okay. That's why in transfer rumours these days, and it's accurate, club have already agreed personal terms. It's a bit like us with Duran. Personal terms are already agreed. They're just now dealing with Aston Villa. They probably are. We probably know exactly what he wants because we've gone via the agent. And there's a reason his agent and player are opening their mouth there because they know West Ham want him. They know the interest is concrete because they've got it from the devil himself and David Sullivan. And I just get frustrated that it's gone to the 11th hour before we go, nah, actually, a bit too rich for this one. And in the meantime, we just said to Man United, this is what you have to offer. You know, that guy you were after, we're backing out. It's a one-horse race now. And if you offer 15.5 million euros and 4 million euros add-ons, they'll accept it. So there you go. We've done the negotiating for you. We've done the hard work. There you go, man. You can just tap that one into the back of the net. But there's a bit of a subtopic here. What do you say?
Well, just what are you? The subtopic is our inability to make transfers happen, surely.
Well, I was going to say another one, but there's a specific one. Yesterday, when the news came out that we agreed a deal Bayern Munich for Mazraoui, there was another bit of news came out, but we weren't really bothered. And that is Wan-Bissaka doesn't want to come to West Ham.
Yes.
So obviously we all went, it doesn't really matter. We're getting that guy now.
Yeah. Now it
matters. It feels like we've lost out on our main target and the backup target is.
Yeah. But I just think we're really bad, really, really bad at this stuff. And I want to point this out as well. We were failing with the Lucas Paqueta deal. We sent Agent Silkman over to close it. You can see him, Police's punch. They're in his kitchen and Silky's kitchen. Arms around Lucas Paqueta and somebody else. Hey, who's going to complain? Right, all good. Apparently, we sent dispatched Agent Silky out to close the Guilherme deal as well. Now that's great. I'm pleased to have both players aboard, but it's a worry that we're having to do this sort of stuff. I don't notice. I guess I wouldn't notice. We don't look encyclopedically with a magnifying glass at every other club. But people just seem to get transfer deals done a lot easier and a lot slicker than we do. And I have to say, I'm not convinced that an awful lot has changed at West Ham in as much as I thought Steidten might possibly be able to go in there. Maybe he was given a budget. Naively, I thought maybe, let's say we had 80 million to spend this summer. Steidten's given the 80 million. Go on, mate. And he does the negotiating. I feel this is possibly not happening. So I feel we might be having the same historical stumbling blocks that we've always had, which is, I mentioned to you yesterday, Gio. I mentioned this on when we did our Patreon video yesterday on what was it, Mugger Tea? Whatever it was, Mugger Tea. I don't feel an awful lot has changed since the Willie Carvalho days and that email going in to Sporting Lisbon, which basically said, we want to take your player, we'll pay you 25 million spread over these terms, but you sort of need to hurry up, because if you don't do it, I'm going to go and loan somebody from PSG. And I just, that you could probably go, you can go and search this stuff up if you want to. They released it. I think they found it so hilarious that they not. They made a derogatory term, which I don't.
This is where it gets worse. Sporting called Sullivan a liar and said you've not made a bid. So Sullivan leaked his own email to Sky Sports. He put that out to make himself look good and ended up making himself look like the idiot.
Yes, yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And then there's some derogatory insults I don't want to bring up because David Gold was involved, and bless him, he's not with us anymore. But it demonstrated quite how amateurish our process was. It just didn't seem fitting in with the multi-billion-pound industry that is Premier League football. It seemed. Honestly, it felt like everybody else. It felt like almost we were still using a fax machine while everybody else was communicating with fibre, fast fibre optic stuff. And you get what I'm saying. And I fear that everything is still the same. And I think, and I hope not. I feel this is a hindrance. Now, I can't pretend to understand. I don't know who the agent was for Kilman or anything like that. Why that went so smoothly. So I'd not like to speculate, but it does appear that when we're having to deal with maybe agents or people we don't know, clubs we haven't dealt with before, that we're struggling, and that gives us a handicap. It means every other football club seems to have an advantage over West Ham, and possibly the one person we have a little bit of expertise with, Tim Steidten, maybe not negotiating, but in terms of global contacts, we're perhaps not using him as much as we do. I tell you what I did think though. So there was something else. It was a bit of speculation. It was a quote attributed to Lopetegui. So we don't know if it's true, but it was basically Lopetegui said he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind whether he gets Wan-Bissaka or he gets Carl Walker-Peters. And I made some jokes about it on my video. Just anyone will do. Just get me someone in, please. Don't care. It's like when you're starving, you know what I mean? And someone, I actually don't care what it is anymore. I just want to eat. I bit of dry bread, quite frankly. I'm past caring whether it's omelette or scrambled eggs. I'm just starving, right? So it felt like that. I'll just have a right back if you don't mind, please, because clearly we're struggling, as you can see in the pre-season. I do wonder what his thoughts are at the moment. If he's now thinking, oh, hold on, what have I joined? What have I joined here? Why can't we? Okay, we've not been able to sign our first choice. Okay, we've not been able to sign our second choice. Oh, damn it, we've just missed out on our third choice. Okay, this is interesting. Sort of seems to be happening with the other. I know we've signed Kilman, brilliant. Seems to be happening with the centre back as well. And we're struggling with a striker. There is a pattern emerging here. And I think if I was Lopetegui, who, despite what you think his record has been, forget whether you think he failed or succeeded at Spain or Real Madrid, he still did work for those people. He has seen the inside workings of the biggest football club in the world. He's worked at Porto as well, Sevilla, very slick, well-oiled machine, the Spanish national team. I do wonder if he's looking and thinking, hold on a minute, this is not how it's done. I do wonder. Anyway, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I think either Steiden's struggling or Sullivan's got his fingerprints all over it. It's one of the two, really. Either Steiden's been given control and is struggling, or he's not been given control and it's still got David Sullivan. Neither are great. I think it depends on what the agent. Listen, if it comes out the agent was wanting a ridiculous amount of money, I can understand. And this is where Lopetegui will know something that we don't know. He will know the finer details of why West Ham have decided to pull the plug on this one. And the agent wants too much. However, if it moves to Man United, that would throw open the question. Well, it wasn't too much for them to pay. They've also decided it's worthwhile paying it to get Mazraoui in. It just makes me wonder, well, what next then? Because tell you what, if I'm Southampton, I'm sitting there tapping my fingers thinking, well, there's only one guy left on your list according to transfer rumours. We've got him, and the other two are out the equation. So still 20 million, please. Now, what are you going to do? And I just hope this doesn't lead to a panic buy. We obviously need a right back, but I just hope it doesn't lead to us paying 20 million for Kyle Walker-Peters because we haven't been able to get Wan-Bissaka and Mazraoui. It's a bit of a blow. Like I said, in terms of the player himself, I was lukewarm on it. I think he's a good player. I just think with Duran, great player, could become a sensational player. But I feel like there was almost a guarantee of potential off-field issues, but that he would leave eventually and pretty soon as well. With Mazraoui, I think good player, but I feel like there's a guarantee that he will be injured for large periods. And it's one of them. I don't mind one or two injury-prone players in the squad as long as the cover is just as good as the one that's going to be injured. That's why I've been okay with Kurt Zuma's injury record historically, because we've done fine when he's been out injured. We've got by to some extent, but when he plays, he has been our best centre back. And I think when you're that good, it's okay. But you can only have one or two in your squad.
Yeah.
So I was lukewarm on the signing. 12.5 million or 13 million, whatever it works out at. It was a fair price. But I think if you start lobbing on a 3 million loyalty and a 3 million to his agent, suddenly you're closer to 20 than 10, and that's where it gets a little bit expensive for my liking for what you're buying, not the player, but just his injury record. So that's my concern. But my biggest concern isn't missing out on him. It's August next week, and we're still chasing our tail a little bit with the right back and striker. And I was optimistic yesterday that those were a way to get concluded, both deals. Today, 24 hours later, well, one's definitely off and one seems more unlikely than likely.
If only we'd have had a right back on the books who was versatile and would have been happy to take 40 grand a week, we'd have been all right, wouldn't we?
We wouldn't have been too shabby. Anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we disappear?
I will tell you one. I will tell you one thing, actually. I was thinking for a point. You know, I used to say that David Moyes and David Sullivan, I used to say they were a match made in hell, which I thought was a good line. It sounded good. I was wrong. It was a match made in heaven. Moyes wouldn't have cared. Honestly, Moyes wouldn't have cared. Moyes, we had two of them who were quite happy to take their time and do the stuff. And I think the ante's been upped now. I really, really do. And I'm now thinking about Lopetegui, and I'm thinking about all those interviews he was doing where he's saying, no, I got my job. My job's tough. Training ground. I've got a coach. I've got to coach new habits into the people.
Reckon he's seen it coming?
I don't know. No, I know. I think what he's been saying, like, basically, there's other departments that can do that. They can do that job. That's their job. I wonder if he's now thinking, I might get involved with you. Like, do you need a hand with that, fellas?
Maybe when he was saying, no, this is Steiden's thing, he was saying, I can see what problems are coming later in the window and I ain't taking any responsibility. Sorry, I'm just the guy with the whistle and the cones and the bilingual coach. That's my job. But he's so when the transfer window goes tits up, him over there, him with the scarf. Bring up with him.
We just try straggling him with that scarf, wasn't it?
Anyway, get involved in the comments with your thoughts. It seems that Mazraoui deal is off, exclusively broken by the guy that said it was on. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up. Sky with Hammers, chat myself and Gonzo. Well, we'll catch up with you tomorrow. We've got 2 videos, one on each channel with both of us in it. We'll see you then.